welcome to what is officially the final edition of our 2019 Upon Further Review program. My name is John Henrietto. I'm the sports editor of the Butler Eagle, flanked on my left by sports editor Mike Kilroy, and on my right by sports editor himself, Derek Pida, Mr. Derek Pida. We appreciate our sponsors, as always. We'd like to thank them for their entire for staying with us the entire season. They are Conlon Tarker, Troy Allen, Chevrolet Buick GMC, the Penn United Technologies, and the Butler Health System. Derek, I guess we'll start with you and looking at our two games.
Always start with Derek.
I know. Well, we're starting with Derek this time also.
You don't love me as much as you love Derek.
You know, don't give me the drama here on our last program. We don't need the drama here.
He's crying more than Emma is. Jeez,
Yeah, I've been around a little baby for too long. I'm starting to get
fatherhood's
tendencies.
Fatherhood's affected you. There's no question about that. But Derek, you covered our last two football games of the season as it turned out this past weekend. We'll start with Red Bank Valley, of course, 32-6 win over Union AC Valley. Your thoughts on what happened to the Falcon Knights? We all picked them to win and we all missed.
Well, Union AC Valley was the victim of not one but two pick sixes in the first half. You look at this, the game that was played between these two teams back in October. That was Cam Wagner, the freshman quarterback for Red Bank. That was his first career varsity start. He was thrust into the starting role because of an injury. And Union AC handled the Bulldogs fairly easily.
Oh, yeah.
At New Bethlehem, at the Red Bank's home field, 28-7, the Falcon Knights won. In this rematch, Cam Wagner still in there, freshman quarterback. What better way to take the pressure off of a young and inexperienced quarterback than be up by 3 scores 1 minute into the second quarter? And that's what Union AC Valley faced. They were down 19-0 after that second pick six. And it was just a hole that they were unable to come out of. They did score a touchdown before halftime to make it 19-6. But, man, you give a team that already had redemption on their side. Red Bank Valley wanted revenge, and they got it. And you spot them a 19-0 lead. It was just too much for the Falcon Knights to overcome.
Mike, Derek just used the term a second pick six. When you're in a playoff game, you can't afford to do that against any team.
Well, we talked last week about Luke Bowser and the matchup he had against Red Bank, maybe not favorable. I wasn't at the game, but I have a feeling that Red Bank probably, Derek, you might answer this. Did they load up to try to take the run away, to try to force Bowser to throw, or were they just trying to establish the passing game early and then end up blowing up in their face?
No, they were, Union AC actually ran the ball well early. It's just when they did try to pass, they fell victim to, a guy in a red uniform catching the ball. So
obviously, they played into Red Bank's strengths, which I'm sure wasn't the game plan. Sure, they're probably trying to keep them honest with the running game. Trying to keep them honest, and it didn't work. Disappointing because they did handle Red Bank so well the first time they met. Obviously, that freshman quarterback matured a little bit since that first start. Sounds like they have a pretty good future with him now. Disappointing outcome. I thought Union AC Valley would win that game. We all did, and I thought we'd be talking about them playing for a district championship, but unfortunately not. We're talking about end of the season for all of our teams, and it's sometimes how it goes when you get snake bit like that, when you get two big turnovers like that, the momentum changes. Obviously, 12, 14-point swing. It's hard to come back from that in the playoffs.
Well, the bottom line is, too, that they had 6 turnovers total for the game. You're not going to beat anybody.
Oh, yeah.
You're not going to beat anybody if you turn over 6 times in a football game, let alone a playoff game when you're obviously facing a high caliber opponent. My guess is, you look at these two teams, Red Bank Union, ACV blew them out the first time. Red Bank blew out Union ACV the second time. My guess would be if they played a third time, it'd probably be a barn burner of a game. Because really, those two teams should be a barn. Yeah, that's right, slobber. There you go. Well, Mike, we'll turn to you this time even though Darren covered the game, we will turn to you first on the Ridgeway Karns City game. 2 straight times now, Karns City took on a very powerful Ridgeway team and took them to the final horn, but came up short.
I'll defer to Derek. No, I'm kidding. I was following the game on Twitter, and it seemed like it was a very good game. back and forth. Both teams had chances, to obviously to win this game. It seemed like the difference was Ridgeway kind of seemed to kind of wear them out a little bit and pulled away late. So it wasn't a kind of the game that we kind of thought. We thought it was going to be a close game, kind of back and forth, and that's kind of what it was.
Derek, you were there, and what strikes me about Karns City, even though they lost, they scored more points against Ridgeway than any team that Ridgeway's played to this point this season. What's your take on it? We're kind of a wild 34-27 game.
Yeah, I expected the game to be close. I didn't know that it would be this high scoring though. I think I predicted 20-14 Ridgeway, but really what it came down to was Ridgeway made a few plays in the running game, but it was basically their passing game against Karns City's running game. And again, Kamensky, Karns City's quarterback, made a few passes, crucial passes, but in the end it came down to Ridgeway's passing game, Karns City's running game, and they alternated scores. The first 6 scores were Ridgeway would score, Karns City would answer. Ridgeway would score, Karns City answer. That happened 3 straight times, and at one point, Karns City's down just 21-20. It wasn't until late in the fourth quarter when Ridgeway finally pulled away and got a score to go up by 2 scores. That didn't come until 4 minutes left in the game. But, when you're going up against the quarterback, Paul Gresco for Ridgeway, he's really good. But you add the fact that he has 3 or 4 receivers. No, I'm not talking I'm talking down the field. 3 or 4 kids that were making catches, and some of them were pretty difficult catches in coverage. He has 3 or 4 kids that he can pass the ball to, 3 or 4 kids he can rely on to get to move the chains, to get a score, get that pass into the end zone. And in the end, his arm, and this was basically my lead to the story, his arm just proved a little too much for Karns City. But Ridgeway is a really good program. They're actually going for their 4th straight district championship this week against Clarion. And Karns City played them twice this year and lost both times by a combined 13 points. Karns City football's back. I know they lost. They're not playing for a district title, but they're back. We talked about their struggles last year. They certainly put themselves back on the district map when it comes to football.
Yeah, Karns City was down 21-14. They scored a touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
They went for 2.
They actually it was a bad snap.
Oh, okay.
And Kamensky picked the snap up. It was a bad snap. He tried to run.
Because I saw it said run fail. I thought that was the design, but they were trying to kick it. Okay.
Yeah, and he almost made it in. He probably came within a yard of running it in.
Yeah, when you got a passing game as versatile as Ridgeway's is, I mean, they you mentioned the 3 or 4 receivers that they'll also throw to the running backs on occasion. Mm-hmm. I mean, and I was reading your story, and Jerry Sherwin's quote was when the team has that many weapons in the passing game, it's just hard to cover them all. I mean, it's hard to account for all of them. And it sounded to me like, again, you were there, I wasn't there, but it sounded to me like the quarterback, Paul Grish, was making a proper read and finding the open guy.
He was 328 yards and 2 touchdowns. You mentioned the receiver. They have one of the kids' names is Matt Dush. Mm-hmm. Really good receiver. He also has about 400 yards rushing this year. So when you throw in really good quarterback and one of his weapons that he can throw to also has about 400 yards rushing on the season, that's a lot of stuff to worry about if you're a defense.
It's hard enough for high school secondaries to cover 1 or 2 good receivers on a consistent basis. You see one receiver go off against teams all the time because it's so hard to cover. But when you're trying to cover 4 guys who are as good as Ridgeway's receivers are, that's almost an impossible task.
It's tough.
It's weird to say. It's almost impressive that Karns City kept it this close when you have that many weapons in the passing game, and a guy throws for 328 yards against you and you lose by 7. I think that's impressive on Karns City's side that they were able to stay in a game like that when the defense had their hands full with Ridgeway's passing offense.
Matt Dush, I do want to mention one stat. Matt Dush, the kid I just mentioned for Ridgeway, he is a senior. He's a threat in running the ball, obviously, but he also had 8 catches for 165 yards in this playoff game.
Wow, yeah.
Big production.
Yeah, that's what's strange about that matchup. As many weapons as Ridgeway has in a passing game, Karns City didn't have quite as many, but Karns City had a lot of weapons themselves in their running game. And that can be hard to stop. And Ridgeway did have trouble stopping that running game.
Luke Gehring scored 2 touchdowns, and Anthony Kamensky had 151 yards rushing. and scored a touchdown himself.
Yeah.
And he also threw at the time a huge touchdown pass to Caden Shear in the second quarter. At the time, it tied the game 14-all.
Yeah, it's kind of a shame Karns City doesn't have any more games because they were really starting to gel offensively.
Oh, absolutely.
Mesky was
Yeah.
running the ball well. Luke Gehring had a huge second half of the season. So did Caden Shearer. He had some big plays in the early part of the season, but he really developed as a big threat in that passing game.
The
Mesky
passing
was
game
just
was
good better.
yeah.
I think if they could have got past Ridgeway, they could have made some noise.
Yeah,
Some
yeah.
serious noise down the stretch.
Well, I'll see you over in terms of picks. So we have no picks for this week. So Derek, how did our predictions wrap up this year?
Not good. I mean, overall, we both went one, and everybody
Not good,
went
yeah.
1-1 last week. We lost the Union AC game, and we all got the Karns City Ridgeway game right. Although we all rooted for Karns City. We
course.
wanted to see them kind of take their game to the district championship to see where they stacked up there. They would have played Clarion. That's the matchup this week, Ridgeway Clarion. But we all went 1-1, which the final standings are this. John and me, both 82 and 28, and Mike is tied with Scoop right behind us at 81 and 29.
You guys should have a playoff. You
I
should
know,
pick,
we
you
got a
should pick
tiebreaker. We got a
you
tiebreaker
should pick like
somewhere.
a random NFL game or college game and pick it. Make sure you disagree on it
Well,
and see who wins.
Yeah, well, I think we need to find a high school matchup.
Or
we
arm
can
wrestle.
disagree on.
Or just arm wrestle.
Or arm wrestle, like right here.
Right there.
Yeah,
Arm
we can do it
wrestle.
right here.
Or rock, scissors, paper. Rock, scissors, paper, lizard, Spock.
My son Will loves rock, paper, scissors. But here's the thing: if you're ever playing him in rock, paper, scissors, he always throws the scissors out to put the rock.
So don't,
He always puts the scissors out. So go rock.
wait to
No offense to your son, but I've always personally felt that rock, paper, scissors is one of the dumbest games
Oh,
ever.
it's great. So there's actually competitive rock, paper,
I'm
scissors.
sure there's competitive games and everything. I'm sure there is. I have no doubt that
We're
probably
training.
bet on it in Vegas.
Yeah,
Too.
you probably can.
So I got a thumbs up. I actually got a live long and prosper from our producer about rock, paper, scissors, lizard, Spock. It's obvious. Only a geek would know what that means, or a fan of the Big Bang Theory.
Yeah, there you go. Well, let's move on here. Now that the season's over, let's look back on things a little bit. So I'm going to pose this question to you guys, and then I'll offer my thoughts as well. We'll start with you on this one, Mike. What was the best?
He loves me more now.
What was the best game you've covered? Best high school football game you've covered this season?
I covered a lot of good
Give me a
games
best.
this year. Years past, though, I had bad luck. I would get a lot of Mercy Rule games. I didn't have a lot of Mercy Rule games this year. I had a lot of really good games. It was kind of hard, but not hard because I did have a lot of good games. But it has to be the last game I covered, regular season game this year, Freeport Knock.
Mhm.
Both Knock technically had something to play for. They still had a shot at the playoffs, but it still was a non-conference game. But both teams played like that was their Super Bowl. 9 lead changes. The game went back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Freeport ended up making one more big play than Knock did, 134-31. By far, that was the best game. I had covered a lot of other good games. Freeport North Catholic early in the year was a good game that I covered, just to name another one. But that one was probably one of the best games I've covered, period, not just this year.
Yep. Derek, what say you? Your best game you covered this season, high school football?
It's easy. I mean, it was Saturday's playoff game, Karns City Ridgeway.
Oh, back
and it was
2 days ago.
back and forth, back and forth. Like I said, the first 6 scores, the teams alternated. You had the subplot of Ridgeway being the defending champion, Karns City, a program that is almost always up, down last year, trying to come back, get to the district championship game, and just the fact that it was a playoff game. I knew the whole game covering one of these teams' season is going to come to an end here. That just added to the intrigue, added to the interest, and Karns City came up short. But man, what a game! I'll remember that one for a long time.
There you go. And my pick is also an easy one, and it also involves Karns City. I covered that Brookville Karns City regular season game at Deal Stadium. Back and forth the entire game, went into multiple overtimes. Karns City losing 42-41 on that little misdirection swing pass to Hunter Rao, and no one knows to this day whether he actually got into the end zone or whether he didn't.
There
The
was
referee
clear-
says he didn't.
If there's
And,
replay,
yeah.
there's clear video evidence.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
a photo
Yeah,
where he
there is.
clearly
There is a photo
broke
that
the plan.
exists. There is a
He
photo.
clearly broke the plan.
There is a photo that exists, but the officials thought otherwise, and Karns City took a heartbreaking 42-41 loss. But that's clearly my best game I've seen this year. if we, another subject here, if the Butler Eagle does not do a Coach of the Year award for football, we do our Sweet 16 honorees and of course our Eagles scoring trophy, and that's it as far as our postseason honors go for football. But Derek, we'll throw to you first on this one. If we did name a Coach of the Year for Butler County area high school football, who's your guy?
I got to go with Brad Dittman here.
Yeah.
Union AC Valley. I look back at the first year for this co-op was 2016, back when David Lauder was still the coach. And that year, the Falcon Knights had 40 players, which is a good number, a good healthy number for a Class A team. This year, just 25 players. So right off the bat, starting the season, he was dealing with small numbers, even though it's a combined program. And for the playoff game the other night against Red Bank, they only dressed 20 kids. So, and you're bringing in kids from two different school districts, AC Valley, Union. I don't know exactly everything that entails as far as trying to get the players to come together, but I'm sure it adds a different dynamic that you don't have to worry about if you're just dealing with players from one school that you're coaching. Mm-hmm. And the fact that they were dealing with low numbers, they go 7-4 this year. Last year, 4-7. They were the 8th seed in the playoffs last year. This year, they reversed that record, 7-4. They were number 3, the third-ranked team in the district entering the playoffs. I just think he did a lot with low numbers and a great season for them. Obviously ended before they were hoping, but this success by this team, hopefully at both schools, it kind of encourages some other kids to come out, and maybe next August we're talking about a roster that's closer to 40 like it was a few years ago.
Mike, it sounds like you echo the Brad Dittman sentiment?
There's no question it's Dittman, because before the season started, I don't think anyone really, outside of maybe Reimersburg and Foxburg, would have thought this team was going to win 7 games this year. But probably would have thought it would have been more like 4, like they won last year, but they ended up winning 7 games. I think Dittman did a good job getting that running game going too, because it struggled at the beginning of the year.
Oh, sure did.
He was experimenting with different combinations, and he finally found one that worked. And I'm sure he did some work with the blocking schemes up front too to get that running game going. Because when that running game got going, that's when they started to that offense really started to hum. And their defense played really great all year. They have a number of stars on defense, so I don't think there's any question that Dittman would be our Coach of the Year. I can't even think of a runner-up off the top of my head this year.
I can think of a runner-up.
Well, then go ahead.
I can think of a runner-up. First off, I want to say I agree with you two guys. I would throw my hat in the ring for Brad Dittman also, but I do think there is a close runner-up, and that would be Joe Sherwood at Karns City. There's a lot of pressure on that guy going into this year. But when you remember, he took over last year. Ed Conto had retired after a string of playoff appearances and postseason success. And Joe Sherwood, who was on Conto's staff for a long time, steps in, takes over as head coach. Losing season, no playoffs. That puts there's a lot of pressure. Yeah. There's a lot of heat on that guy going into this season. And credit to the players as well. Totally turned it around, as Derek stated earlier. There's no question. Karns City football is back, and I think Sherman had a lot to do with that. So to me, he would be a respectable close.
Really, the biggest thing he did was he got those guys to finish. That's something they didn't do last year, and they lost 3 games because they didn't finish. Yep. This year they finished.
They did,
and that was a big. That was the reason for their.
He even thought they finished Karns City Brookville, but the referee said they didn't finish. But they thought they finished that one. But anyway. All right, another topic. Let's switch to players now. Other than Teddy Ruffner, and I know he's kind of the obvious choice.
The non-Teddy Ruffner division.
The non-Teddy Ruffner division.
For all these.
And Mike, we'll throw it to you first on this. What individual county player do you feel had the biggest impact on his team this season?
Well, there's a lot of guys.
There's a lot of candidates. Right?
I mean, you almost pick a guy from every team.
There's a lot of candidates.
Peter Pelosi and Slippery Rock, what he did at quarterback. Anthony Kaminsky at Karns City, what he did. West at Seneca Valley, he was a big reason why their offense started to play better until he got hurt. But I have to go with Ricky Hunter at Freeport just because of the sheer number of things he did. He ran the ball well. He caught the ball well out of the backfield. He was their kicker. He had a number of kick returns for touchdowns. He's just a hard nose. He's kind of epitomizes what it means to be a Freeport football player. He wore that little the neck roll that his
Oh,
dad
yeah.
wore. He wore the same number as his
Yeah.
dad. He's kind of a throwback, an old school kind of guy. Put your nose down, plow ahead for 4 or 5 yards, but he's also shifty in the open field. Just the sheer amount of responsibilities that he had, to me, makes him kind of, in the non-Teddy Ruffner division, a guy that impacted his team more than
That's
anybody else.
not Teddy Ruffner.
Yeah.
I like that. Derek, what do you think? What player, other than Teddy Ruffner, biggest impact on his team this year?
I'm going to go with Tanner Merwin at Union.
Interesting choice.
That's a good choice too.
Interesting choice.
You know, you're talking about a team that had 25 players at the start of the season. For most of the season, they were down around 20, 21. You have to have players that contribute on both sides of the ball, obviously. You just don't have numbers to say, okay, you're playing wide receiver and that's all you do. He was a wide receiver, a defensive back, and these are numbers that led the team. He had 412 receiving yards, that led the team. 6 receiving touchdowns, that led the team. 302 kickoff return yards, a 33.6 yard average on kickoff returns, that led the team. 5 interceptions on defense, that led the team, and he also threw in 52 tackles. You know, if you
What are you trying to
replace,
say, Derek?
If you're his kid's agent or what? If you're his agent,
Show him the money.
I'm Drew Rosenhaus here.
Yeah.
You know, I think
Show him the money.
if you replace Tanner Merwin with
Pay the man.
a good,
Yeah, pay the man.
solid high school football player, I don't think Union AC goes 7-4 this year. I mean, he was a standout on both sides of the ball. I do want to mention 2 other names here.
Yeah.
Ethan West, and I know you look at his numbers.
Yeah.
357 yards receiving, 512 rushing, 6 touchdowns. He also played on defense, started at cornerback for him. But I know from covering their games, when he was on the field and he was healthy, he got hurt late in the year. When he was healthy, that offense was different.
Yep.
Every time he touched the ball, you felt there was a chance of something exciting happening. And the fact that he wasn't able to play the last few games of the season, that was disappointing for him and the Raiders. But Ethan West, his play was north of the border this year, as they would say.
Interesting play on words. But
And I know this is the non-Teddy Ruffner. I want to mention one thing about Teddy Ruffner. That passing game for Mars struggled for a lot of the year.
oh, yeah.
And teams knew.
Well, there's no secret who was getting the ball.
They
There's
knew
no-
that Teddy Ruffner was
Right.
getting the ball, and for
Didn't
him to
matter
put up
in
over
games.
1,900 yards, and I think he scored 26 total touchdowns,
Didn't
25
matter.
rushing.
Yeah.
What a season for Teddy, and he's coming back next year, so I can't wait to see what he can do as a senior.
And one guy I left out that I didn't want to leave out is Baxter at Butler.
Cooper
Where,
Baxter.
where would they have been without him? He was obviously a weapon, both running, throwing for them. I don't know if you were going to talk about him, but I wanted to mention him
Sure.
too.
Oh, there's a lot of
Yeah,
guys.
you guys said
mentioned,
Joe's
I was,
been a guy
I was
that-
going to mention Cooper Baxter, but you got Matt Goodland over at Mock. You got Zach Rocco. Don't forget about him at
Oh, yeah.
North Catholic.
6,000 yards.
Yeah,
career
there's
passing.
so many players, but I've got to agree with Mike Kilroy on this one. My choice is Ricky Hunter Freeport also. You just don't see, players who lead a team in all-purpose yardage like he did, and lead a team in tackle on defense. That's just a crazy.
Yeah, I left that
It's
out.
just a crazy
I meant to
combination.
mention that too.
Yeah.
That on defense, he was.
And as you mentioned,
he was a sideline to sideline linebacker.
You had 2 punt returns for touchdowns. I mean, this kid just did everything. He was their kicker. He was their punter.
And he had a kickoff return against
Yeah.
Hawk that
Set up the winning score.
Set up the
Yeah.
winning score when they absolutely needed a big kickoff return. He was one that
This
pulled it out.
kid literally never left the field. Never
No.
did, because he had a role on every special teams play, and every defense play, every offensive play. So, all due respect to a lot, and you're right.
Merwin's a great
We
choice,
could
too.
name a number of other.
Oh, I know.
players,
Like I
but
said,
I gotta
you
go
can almost
with
pick a guy in every
so,
team.
yeah.
Almost every team had a guy that was indispensable.
Well, we will move on to. I really had to reach for the over/under since our season's over. I really had to reach for it, but
I'm surprised we even had this.
So I come up with a couple. Yep.
And he came up with a couple of good
Yeah,
ones. I was
yeah.
surprised we even had an over/under this week, but
Yeah.
you gotta.
We got to do one more over/under. What you got to do? And Mike, we'll start with you on this one. First over/under. And this is obviously football's over, so we're switching gears here a little bit. Number of state championships from our fall sports teams in Butler County this year. Obviously, we have 5 teams still playing between soccer and volleyball. I list the over/under at 1.5. This is state championships, not reaching the state final. This is winning it all. Over/under
Oh,
1.5.
it's gonna be over. It's gonna be, I think, double that. I think it's gonna be
Whoa.
3. I think
Whoa.
we're gonna have 3 state champions. Now, I
You
don't
could have
know.
named them. You could have mentioned it.
Well, I think one for sure is going to be Mars girls soccer.
Okay.
I don't see anyone in the state beating them. I don't know what's on the other side of the state. I don't know who's
You
left.
gotta be careful because
But-
soccer can be
I
tricky.
heard
Soccer can be
Phillies,
tricky.
Phillies out there. There's a city called Philadelphia.
Soccer can be tricky.
But what the Mars girls soccer team is doing on this side of the state is
Oh,
unprecedented.
yeah.
I've never seen a team get this deep in both the Whitfield and the state playoffs. It just destroy teams like they're destroying them.
Yep.
Winning 4-0, ending games basically the first 5 minutes with 2 goals like they did the other day.
Mhm.
That game was over 5 minutes into the game because there's no way they're going to give up 2 goals in that game to get equal. It's just they're just a machine right now.
Mars
So I
girl-
think I think like I said, I don't know. I know soccer in the Eastern Side State is pretty formidable too. There might be a team like Mars out there who I don't know about who can match up with them, but just based on what I have seen so far, I don't see anyone beating Mars. Now, the other state champion, I think the 4 teams that are left all have a legitimate shot at winning. Knock Girls Volleyball, North Catholic Girls Volleyball, Freeport Girls Volleyball. Obviously, North Catholic and Freeport play each other,
Obviously,
so one's going to get knocked
they
out,
won't,
but
they play each other, right?
but one's going to get there.
Mhm.
And North Catholic girls soccer, I think we're going to get 2 out of those, some combination. I think they all legitimately have a shot. I would not be surprised if. Let me say this: I would not be surprised if any of them won a state title.
Okay.
I don't think any of them they're not going to be able to win.
Just a note on this Mars girls soccer team in the postseason, they've outscored the opponents 30-1.
Yeah,
You took away my thunder there.
Uh-oh.
Jeez.
I didn't mean to do that, Derek, but
So-
I'll throw it to you now. So
I think we're going to get.
you're going over.
Okay, I'm going 1 volleyball team, 1 or 2 volleyball teams, and 1 or some combination of. What I'm trying to say is we're going to have 3. We're going to have either
Okay.
2 volleyball and 1 soccer, or 1 soccer, 2 volleyball.
Derek, what do you think?
I'm still
under
going to say it.
1.5.
I'm still going to say it. Mars girls soccer's only given up 1 goal in the postseason.
Yeah.
There. My
Great
Thunder
stat,
will-
Derek. Where'd you come up with that?
I think Mars girls soccer wins. I just can't pick against them. They're so powerful. Like you said, they get goals from somebody. You got Taylor Hamlin, Ellie Caulfield, London Gonzalez. There's so many different. Caroline Robluski, Gracie Dunaway, who's a defender for him, has like double-digit goals this
She
year.
does.
And if they are called upon to win a 1-0 game, I think they got the defense and the goalkeeper to do it. So I think they win the state title.
We have a soccer honor roll team.
We do.
John and I, we talked about this. I think me and Derek too. You can legitimately put all 11
But they're all line up on
on our honor roll team
Yeah.
because they were that good from 1 through 11.
Sure.
And I'm going over.
So you're going over?
I'm going over because I'm taking Mars girls soccer and I'm taking the Freeport North Catholic volleyball winner. So that's 2 right there.
Okay. I was going to say, so if this was 2.5, you'd still go over.
So I go
But
over.
if it was 2.5, would you go over under?
No.
You'd go under there.
I think we're getting 3.
I'm going to be devil's advocate. I'm going under. I think one of our teams wins and that's it. I just think it's so hard to go all the way through.
So who's winning?
Even though, if I had to pick one out of this group, no, I think I might go with either Mars soccer or not volleyball. One of the 2.
Oh,
Yeah,
Oh,
one
not
of the 2.
volleyball. They withstood all those injuries.
They did.
And now they're all back.
Yeah.
Now Kennedy Christie's come back from concussion. She's
Yeah.
shaking off the rust, but she looked really good in those last 2 sets Saturday. Hannah Rowe still has a back issue, but she's playing great and she's getting nice down after matches. And Skylar Burkett, it's just been amazing in the playoffs. With those, I just can't. It's going to be hard to beat that kind of powerhouse 3 at the net.
I agree with you 2 guys that any one of these teams is capable. I'm not saying not capable of winning it. I just think the final 2 legs of the state championship run are the toughest.
Well,
2
Knott's
legs.
got
It's the toughest 2 legs.
Palmyra's undefeated.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I mean, they could lose there. I mean,
Freeport's
they could
undefeated,
lose there.
but North Catholic has 1 loss now. It's to Freeport, so that's going to be a great match.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
I'm really glad I got
the last 2 legs are the toughest 2 legs. I can see one of them getting through. It's really hard to predict which one it's going to be because it could be any of them. But I think the other ones may get there and lose. I don't know. I'm hoping I'm wrong. Obviously, I'd love to see you guys be right. I'd love to see you be right now. 3 state champs, that'd be awesome. But I'm going under in that one. My other over-under, back to football, not involving area teams, but it does involve a couple teams we've seen some of this year. The Whitfield 6A title game this weekend, Pine Richland versus Central Catholic. You got Pine and their explosive offense. You got Central Catholic and their killer defense. Michael, start with you here. I'm listening over-under for total points in the 6A title game at 40.5.
That's a really good number.
Over-under.
I'm going to go over, but not by a whole lot, because it is a battle of great offense versus great defense. And typically in those battles of great offense versus great defense, especially at the high school level and at the Whitfield level, the great defense usually beats the great offense. But I still think both teams are going to find a way to score more than 20 points in this game. It's going to be a really tight game. I think it's going to be like 24-21 finals, which will put it slightly over.
Derek, what do you think? Over under 40.5.
Well,
Pine Richland, Central Catholic.
Can Scoot pick this game? Can he stick another win in here?
Hey, you want to
Why don't you guys pick this game? Are you
we
going
can pick this game.
to pick different winners?
I don't. We'll find out in a minute because I'm giving my pick right now.
Here we go.
I want to say in the regular season, Central beat Pine Richland 29-7.
They did.
A few weeks after that, I talked to Eric Kasparovich at Pine Richland. I did a preview on their game with Seneca Valley, and he said that game against Central, it basically came down to it was a question of effort. He said Pine Richland was 5-0 going into that Central game, and he said his players got a little complacent, and complacency is not something you want to see out of your players when you're going up against Central Catholic. So I don't think they got out schemed. It was just a question of effort. Obviously, in this game, I don't think either team's not going to have a problem with effort. This is for the Whitfield Championship, Hinesfield, and when you got two really good teams going up against each other, a lot of times I'll side with the team that has revenge on their side. In this case, that would be Pine Richland. I think both teams play well. I think the difference in this game is the fact that Pine Richland has Cole Spencer at quarterback.
Yep.
He's dynamic. He can make plays running and passing. Central has a quarterback, Don Pito. I don't want to downplay it. He's a good quarterback, but he's more of a game manager. Cole Spencer.
That's the last thing a quarterback wants to be called as a game manager.
Cole Spencer makes plays running. He can obviously make plays through the air. I think the quarterback play is going to be the difference. I think Pine Richland wins this game 24-20. So I would put me slightly over the over-under there.
Okay.
I'm going to pick Central. This will be your
I
tiebreaker.
think I'm picking Central.
This will be your tiebreaker.
This is not tiebreaker. I'm picking Central Catholic to knock off Pine Richland. I think defense wins, especially at the Hinesfield venue. I think Central Catholic's defense makes the difference. Yeah. Oh, that's for sure. Central Catholic's defense will make the difference, and also going under on the over-under. I can see Central Catholic stifling Pine Richland and winning by. This should be a very close game. Should be an outstanding game, actually. I'm going to say something like 21-14 or something thereabouts. 21-17. It's going to be slightly under. I think.
If anyone cares, I'm picking Central Catholic.
You're picking Central Catholic also.
21. So
Okay.
I think their defense is gonna shut Pine Richland down enough for them to come out.
Well, they got 3 Division I kids on their defensive line.
Oh, the defense is outstanding. But so we won't have another show here, but anyone who's watching the show now, you'll figure out who won our picks. Follow the Pine Richland Central Catholic game. I have Central, Derek is Pine Richland. There you go.
So Scoop would pick Central then.
Scoop would pick Central. Yes, you would.
Scoop would pick Central.
Scoop would pick Central. So.
Yeah.
And our last segment here is again we're staying with football, but we're going up a level, up to college football, Division II. How about the run that the Slip Rock University football team is on? 10-0, first time in program history. You're talking over 100 years of football up there. They've never gone 10-0. They're 10-0 now. They're in the PSAC title game this coming Saturday at Kutztown, which is also 10-0. First place in the region is on the line, as well as the state title. Derek, we'll start with you on this one. Your thoughts on the SRU football program and how it's been able to sustain quite a high level of success now. This is their 6th state title game this decade.
Yeah. First of all, I want to give me a minute here. This is our last segment of the year. I'm getting a little tired. I can't believe
a little bit
it's
emotional.
over. First of all, I do want to say I think Slip Rock was made better by playing Clarion. That's my alma mater. I think they became a better team by ball.
Clarion makes a lot of teams better, so you got to do that.
I looked at Slip Rock's results from this year. No less than 31 points scored. They scored 31 in one game. That was a win over Cal. Every other game they've scored at least 41 points.
You have to over 50 games.
That's crazy.
Right around 50.
Kutztown's 10-0. They're obviously a worthy opponent, but man, it's like Mars Soccer. I can't pick against Mars Soccer moving forward. I can't pick against Slippery Rock in this game. Kutztown, I'm sure they'll put up a fight, but man, Kutztown better bring their A game just to stay in this game.
They're bring their A game on defense to say.
Well, Mike, this is similar though to last year. Slippery Rock went into the state title game last year riding a lot of momentum. Their one regular season loss came early last season. They took a big winning streak into that game at home in a state title game last year. Westchester came in there and just whacked them. I think 33-10. I covered the game. They just destroyed them. What are your thoughts on?
I don't think Sean Lutz and that staff's going to let that happen again. Mm-hmm. I think they've learned from that lesson last year. I think they're going to go in to Kutztown with an edge that they didn't have last year. But you have the offense that Slippery Rock has. I mean, explosive weapons everywhere. Their quarterback is putting up just video game numbers. I mean, beyond video game numbers. I mean, just crazy numbers you don't see. Like what has he thrown any interceptions this year, or is just
he's thrown a handful? He's thrown maybe five, maybe
I
five.
knew the first part of the
six.
season he didn't have.
No, he
any.
didn't. Right.
Yeah. So when you have that kind of firepower, it puts so much pressure on an opponent. Not only on your opponent's defense, but on your opponent's offense, because they feel like, okay, we got to score every time we have the ball. Then that sometimes forces you into mistakes because you feel like you can't. You feel like you have to be perfect on offense to keep up with them. So I think this team's a little bit different than that team that got whacked by Westchester last year. I don't think they're going to let that happen again. I think they're going to win and win big.
Yeah, the intangible to me in this game is that quarterback rolling over the third. Yeah. It's just he's putting up Harlan Hill Trophy caliber numbers. For those who don't know, the Harlan Hill Trophy is the Heisman Trophy for Division II football. This guy, at the very least, is in the conversation. I mean, at the very least. I mean, he's thrown 36 touchdown passes now in 10 games. This year, he already shattered the single season Slippery Rock record, which was 32. He broke that last week. He's only started 21 games at Slippery Rock, and he's got 64 touchdown passes in 21 games. That's almost 3 a game, or a little bit more than 3 a game.
Pretty good. It's basically 3 a game.
But plus, the guy can run, and the guy can run. I mean, he went up against a California defense 2 weeks ago that gives up 38 rushing yards a game. He torched him for 135 on the ground of himself. Plus threw for 280 and 4 touchdowns. I mean, he's the X factor.
Lamar Jackson, D2.
Yeah, Kutztown gives up 15 points a game, but I'll guarantee you, this is all due respect to the PSEC East, which also plays quality football. I'll guarantee you, Kutztown has not faced a quarterback like Roland Rivers. I'll guarantee they have not faced no one offense like Slippery offense.
They're not going to hold Slippery Rock to 15 points. That's for sure.
No,
Slippery Rock's going to get that in the first quarter, perhaps.
That's not going to happen. I agree with you guys. I like Slippery Rock to win a state title. Like I said, #1 seed in the Atlantic region, a first-round bye in the national playoffs. All that's on the line. The winner of this game gets all those things with the state title. So we wish Slippery Rock University a lot of luck this coming Saturday at Kutztown. It's a 12 noon kickoff for those interested in following.
Are they both ranked? What's the ranking?
Yeah. Slippery Rock's ranked number 8 nationally, and Kutztown is up to 13th.
14. So that's
it's
8
quite a
versus
matchup.
13. It's a national game.
And we congratulate our high school football teams. A lot of fun. We always have fun every year covering football. We have fun doing the show. Hope you guys are back with us next season. And so for Mike and Derek, I'm John, and thanks for watching.